Mackenzie Johnston with Tri-State Livestock News, bringing you discussions concerning fair cattle markets. Today we have the opportunity to chat with U.S. Representative Dusty Johnson of South Dakota. To start off with, can you just tell me a little bit about your background and your involvement within the cattle industry?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in rural central South Dakota. Started school in Fort Pierre, and I'm graduating in Pierre. Large working class family. There were 7 of us. After college, went to work for USDA in D.C. between college and graduate school. My focus from a career perspective has really been rural infrastructure. When I was at USDA, I was with rural development. After that, I became a rural infrastructure advisor for Governor Mike Rounds, and I was on our State Public Utilities Commission, where I oversaw rural broadband and energy projects, and Chief Staff to Governor Dugard, focused a lot on rail issues and highway issues that obviously help rural America. And then went into the private sector and focused on rural broadband, co-owner of a company that did projects in about 40 states.
Tell me about the Direct Act that you introduced earlier this month. What is it and why is it needed?
Well, I think COVID-19 really laid bare some of the weaknesses in our supply chain. And we know that, a few years ago, we lost a lot of small lockers and small and regional packing plants. And the ones that still exist did what they could to step up and to try to fill the gap. But it was difficult for them, in part because federal rules tell them that if they're state inspected, they can't sell across state lines. And there have been lots of ideas, things like the Prime Act that attempt to address that, but they don't strike the right balance. They they make it really difficult to recall product that is bad or is in need of recall, and causes us to run afoul of our agreements with our trading partners. The nice thing about the Direct Act is it hits the target. It gives a lot more flexibility. It empowers these state-inspected facilities while not causing us problems on either the recall or the trade front. It does that by allowing these state-inspected facilities to sell direct to consumers across state lines. And I think that's powerful for a couple of different reasons. I mean, number one, I think it really enables entrepreneurialism at that level. I think people can come up with these great branded products. I mean, you just think about South Dakota State University, their meat lab. They could sell some great branded sausage to alums across the country. And the second thing is really that meets consumer demand. I'm really happy with the Miller Lite, but increasingly my friends are interested in these craft beers. And there isn't, I do think consumer demand could easily unlock a lot of potential within the craft meat market. And lockers and small processors are going to be well positioned, just like small brewers were, to take care of those or to respond to those consumer needs or desires.
This is only available for e-commerce or online sales. Why is that?
Well, that gets back to the recall issue. We really need to be able to, when we identify that there is a product that needs a recall, we need to be able to figure out with a press of a button where that is. But we want to make sure that as we unlock this new market potential, that we don't do anything to undermine food safety.
Are you getting any pushback on the Direct Act?
No, I haven't heard any pushback. I'm sure some exists, but frankly, my colleagues in Congress have been really supportive. When I take an opportunity to tell people about it, they more often than not appear supportive. Now, ultimately, I don't get to decide what gets put on the floor. I mean, Nancy Pelosi decides what bills we vote on. So we still have an uphill climb in making sure that this bill is allowed to vote, but we're going to keep working on it. And we've got some opportunities, but I think this is enough COVID-related where maybe if we get a COVID package that moves, we could look to attach this. We've got, some beef pieces of legislation, mandatory price reporting comes to mind, that might be of interest. But, these are issues I'm going to be caring about for the long term. So even if it means that we just need to make progress as we move toward other major pieces of ag legislation, we'll start putting together the farm bill in a couple of years. So this is not the kind of thing that we're going to give up on, even if we can't get it done this year.
And how do you feel this will benefit the consumer?
Well, because the consumer, who right now doesn't have that many options, they can buy they can buy protein from the big processors at their meat case, or they can go to a local locker. And increasingly, particularly urban Americans, don't have a connection with a local locker. They don't know where one is. They don't know the name of the guy who runs it. It may be a couple hours away. And I just don't know what the nearest small kill floor. I mean, I don't know how close Manhattan is to a small kill floor.
Right.
Now that's different in rural America, but I think we want to make sure that our urban brethren understand the value of sourced products and of branded products.
So as you know, cattle producers have been facing some tough times over the past couple of months, and truly over the past few years, they've seen some rough prices, some rough cattle prices. What do you feel are the major issues standing in the way of fair cattle markets for our producers?
Well, I mean, it comes down to concentration at the packer level. I mean, everything else that we talk about is really just treating symptoms. It doesn't get to the root cause. And, I understand occasionally you do have to treat symptoms. But I think we never want to take our eyes off the fact that that's the weakness in the marketplace. And one of the things that we can do is, I think, stay focused on creating an environment where small and regional packers can get back in the game. We lost a lot of them, and frankly, our regulatory environment is not currently all that conducive to them getting back in. But I think there's some things we can do to try to make this market a little more vibrant, a little bit more competitive.
Do you feel that our cattle markets need more transparency?
Well, I think the mandatory price reporting system works pretty well. I mean, obviously, in some parts of the country, we have a lack of negotiated cash trade. I do think there's some value in cash trade. That's less a concern up in my part of the world, and that we have. But it depends exactly, what region you're looking at. But within South Dakota, it's not unusual to have 30, 40, 50, some places 60% cash trade. Some producers like the ability to, sell on the grid. I mean, they view that as a hedge. They view that as an opportunity to grab a premium price for a product that is grown in accordance with the wishes of the buyer. So, I understand that. I mean, I think both grid sales and cash sales have some value. And it would be nice if we had an environment where we had plenty of both.
So you bring up cash trade, negotiated cash trade. What are your thoughts on Senator Grassley's 5014 legislation?
Yeah, I don't know the political viability of that. I just haven't paid enough attention to what the Senate is up to. The Senate is generally more of a rural body. I mean, the House is so urban that it can be hard outside of a farm bill or other must-pass pieces of ag legislation. It can be hard to gain a lot of House interest around legislative ideas for ag country. So I don't really know the Senate landscape very well. I would say I'm open to the idea that pushing up the amount of cash trade could provide some value to consumers and to producers. I do know that a lot of times the government gets in and starts mandating things in ag markets. There can be substantial unintended consequences. I think we should be doing a deep dive. I think we need a deeper analysis on exactly what the second and third tier effects of these government mandates would be. But I'm really open to the idea that they could be positive.
So what are your thoughts on the DOJ investigation into our big four beef processors?
Yeah, I had long ago asked the president to investigate, to have DOJ investigate, all the way back to the Holcomb fire. I mean, one of the first floor speeches I ever gave as a member of the House, saying that we really needed an investigation into the weaknesses of this market. Mm-hmm. And we didn't need an investigation for show, we needed an investigation for real. I frankly, although it's on the poultry side, I was more than a little impressed to see indictments handed down for Pilgrim's Pride. I mean, that, I think, shows that you're not going to be able to get away with anti-competitive behavior without the Department of Justice holding you to account. And, I know that our marketplace is broken, or I should say our marketplace is not as healthy as it should be. I don't know how much active collusion is going on. Maybe none. If there is collusion, you catch those who are guilty and hold them accountable. But even if there isn't collusion, that doesn't mean the market is healthy. We still need reforms.
Right, definitely. There's still issues. President Trump recently made the statement that he would like to terminate trade deals where we import cattle into the United States. What are your thoughts on imports of cattle and beef?
Well, I was the loudest voice in the House raising concerns when we opened our country back up to Brazil. We believe in market access for our producers. And we know that, we grow a lot more corn and a lot more beans than, Americans are going to eat. And these are premium products that are desired across the globe. And I want our producers to have an opportunity to feed the world. Now, if that's our approach, then, we obviously need to be open to the idea of competition. And that is, for most producers, not a problem. They know that they can fight and that they can win, provided that they have a level playing field. But it's the level playing field that I think we want to stay focused on. Part of that level playing field is making sure that you take care of food safety and animal disease. Brazil has not historically done a good job of inspection. If we're going to open up our borders to other countries, job number one is making sure that that's a safe product. If it's not, it can undermine consumer confidence in protein across the board, which is totally unacceptable.
What are your overall thoughts on MCOOL? Do you think it would be beneficial for our industry, or do you think in the long run it would be a detriment?
Well, I'd love more information for consumers. I think the system we've got now isn't particularly fair to consumers or producers. We talk about MCOOL a lot. Very little has changed since Congress, before I got there, repealed MCOOL. And that is that I don't know how you get to 218 votes. And so we can talk about it, and we can talk about it. But I don't know how you get to 218 votes. The reality is Canada and Mexico have the legal right to impose retaliatory tariffs to the tune of more than $1 billion. Mm-hmm. They have made it clear that they would very smartly target those tariffs in ways that would politically squeeze this country. Yeah. And so I don't know how I get New England votes for MCOOL, but maple syrup would be decimated. Right. I don't know how I get Southern votes for MCOOL when rice and cotton would be decimated. I don't know how I get California votes for MCOOL when fruit would be decimated. Mm-hmm. And so in the final analysis, we need to help our cattle producers have a better opportunity to succeed, and that means I've got to focus on, politics is the art of the possible, and the only way forward on MCOOL would be if the president negotiated MCOOL in a legally binding way with Canada and Mexico. We had urged the White House to do that as a part of USMCA. That was not something that they were able to secure. And so for right now, we really got to focus on things that we can get done. We're so focused on MCOOL, and I understand the value and the power of that. But also, I think the product of the USA label as it exists right now is not appropriate. And the fact that you could take whole muscle cuts, grown, slaughtered, packaged in another country, import them into America, and just repackage them, and then put product of USA on there is frankly insulting to a lot of people. And so I have talked to FSIS and frankly Secretary Perdue on numerous occasions about, how can we legally change that label so that it is a better fit. And the rules in place make it clear that we cannot unduly discriminate against cattle raised in other countries. But that doesn't, we can change that label so that product in the USA means that you've at least that it's got to be processed here, not reprocessed here. I think there's some things we can do to change that label. I know USDA has told me that they are open to that and that we're moving in the right direction. And also just, on broader labeling, I think people are increasingly concerned about lab meat or plant-based products trying to call themselves things they're not. A bipartisan bill, with Darren Soto from Florida, he and I have introduced a bill that makes it clear that if you're laboratory-grown meat, you need to tell consumers that. And I'm also a big fan of the Real Meat Act, which makes it clear that plant-based products also need to be honest with consumers. And that is, I think, how we can create a broader labeling environments where we're being fair to consumers.
Do you feel that those fake meat products are a true threat to our beef industry?
Well, I think consumers increasingly, with regard to protein, are interested in quality. I find it a little hard to believe that that anybody's ever going to do it better than the American rancher. But that being said, I'm not in the business of being overconfident. We have seen lots of tough times and, frankly, lots of bad breaks for cattle country. So my job is to make sure that we are prepared and that, frankly, consumers are being treated fairly. If consumers decide that they like plant-based products better, I'm not going to tell them they can't buy them, but I do want to make sure they know exactly what they're getting.
So you talk about consumers and quality that they're wanting. Do you think there is a chance that we could price ourselves out of a product if retail prices stay as high as we've seen through this pandemic, which hopefully they will come down to normal prices? However, we have seen consumers get gouged over the past couple of months, and they're facing lower incomes, unemployment. If these tough economic times continue for them, they're obviously going to have a tough time purchasing beef. Do you think that's going to have a long-lasting effect on the demand for beef?
Well, this is why we need to, increase our capacity at the processing level. From a marketplace perspective, the gap between what the producer is getting and what the consumer is paying is much larger than, frankly, I think is fair. We've got a lack of capacity at the processing level. Once we've got more competition at that spot, then I think you're going to see prices in a way that are a lot more intuitive.
Do you feel that that the cattle industry is in danger of becoming vertically integrated if we don't get some substantial changes put into place to achieve fair cattle markets?
Well, I know that the people who do the best job of raising cattle are ranchers, and they like having a high degree of independence. I think for those who want to continue to live this life, and it's not just a job, and this is a way of life for my friends who are in this industry. And we want to have market conditions that make it clear that if that's how you want to earn a living, if you want to be a part of feeding the best protein in the history of the world to the world, then you should be able to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, I do think we want to make sure that the marketplace does not shove out the independence that we have in the cattle producers today.
If you could sum it up into one sentence, what does the cattle industry need most today?
Both cattle producers and consumers would be better served with more competition at the processing level.